In this video, I'll be sharing my story from how I started as a beginning web designer struggling with getting clients to hitting 16K last month with my web design business. So currently I'm charging about 3 to 5K per project, and I really don't have to chase clients. Clients come to me through my personal brand, and they are all satisfied with the work I deliver for them and the results I get for them. However, this was not always the case because I started with selling websites for 3 to 500, and I really didn't know how I could get clients. I looked up all of those YouTube tutorials, like those secret frameworks with outreach and automated email marketing. Only after about, let's say, 2 years, I stopped working as a security officer and I went full into my web design agency. And when I look back, it really wasn't my web design skill or how I did my outreach. It was my approach to the web design business. So the first thing I did, and this sounds really, really cliche, was changing my mindset about web design. And I'm not talking about you have to work hard and you need to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning. No, I'm talking about what you are actually selling as a web designer. Because in the beginning, I thought being a good web designer was creating sick visuals. I was looking through awards like at the best websites and looking at those tutorials of how to make 3D animations online, and I didn't even have clients. So in hindsight, it was pretty much a waste of time. And if you are going to sell your aesthetics and not the outcome of a web design, well, you will get compared by other designers. And also, which I struggled a lot with, was when people ask me, why are you charging so much? Even though I was only charging like 300, 500, I really couldn't justify the answer because I didn't know what I was selling. And if you even have a business, well, you have to know what you are selling. So yeah, web design isn't about creating sick visuals. Well, what is web design about? Web design is about helping a business owner achieving their goals. For example, if a business owner wants more revenue, well, you can create a website that has a high conversion rate. Or if an owner wants to start a luxury brand, well, you can create a web design that gets perceived as a luxury brand, even though they are only starting out. As a web designer, you are not selling a website, but you are selling a business outcome with web design as a tool. So keep that in mind. Web design isn't the outcome. Well, the outcome is the business goal with web design as a tool. So yeah, of course, being a good web designer does matter because nowadays you have AI, you have Fiverr designers that are selling websites for 200, even though you must not compete with price, because if you are competing with price, well, you have to charge between like 100 or 200. That doesn't work out. But that shouldn't be your main focus. Your main focus as a web designer should be to understand a business goal, what an owner is trying to achieve with his business, and use web design to support that. And once you stop selling a nice looking website, business owners will actually value you as a web designer and you will have more time to spend. And I use this time to spend on the business side of web design. And that is the next thing I'm going to talk about. The second thing I did was working on my positioning, because without positioning, well, you're just another option. And that was me. I was one of the many web designers, and you need to have something that makes you stand out or different from other web designers. Especially now with everyone wanting to go to Dubai and Bali and hit 10K per month and travel the world, you will have a lot of competitors. So you need something that makes you special. And what made me special, and yes, I talked about a web designer isn't about creating nice visuals, but my thing that made me special was that I was really, really good at web design. Because I spent so much time on those courses and improving my skills and trying to become the best web designer, I was actually very, very good, and that made me stand out. However, I don't recommend this because it took me a lot of time. Well, you couldn't do it in really 6 months or even less. So what should you do then? And you have probably heard it a lot on YouTube. You have to niche down and you have to be in a really, really small market. Well, that's not my approach because I have a better one. And this causes you to have a bigger market and also just be special, different from other web designers. And that is to choose something you are good at in skill set. So not niching down by industry, but niching down by skill set. And what I mean by this is, for example, maybe you are a very fast web designer. Maybe you can make websites within 4 days. Or maybe you are a web designer that focuses on conversions. Or maybe you're a web designer that focuses on branding. It could really be everything. It doesn't really have to be very special. Just something that makes you more than just a web designer. So the third thing I did, and this really blew up my business, I will talk about that later, but it was creating a personal brand and creating content. Because at the beginning, really nobody knew who I was. Expect from some people from my town and from my job, because my first websites were from my security colleagues. However, another story, not many people knew who I was, and especially online. Well, nobody knew who I was because I only had an Instagram account with some carousels and I shared some value, but nobody was really, I had like 30 followers. However, when I started to post myself online with my face, people started noticing me. And after a few videos, I found a viral short form content format, and that really blew up. I remember it was like in the evening I posted it, and in the morning my DMs really blew up. I had like 30 or 40 people asking me if I could create a website for them. And I was really stressed out because I didn't know what to do because I was expecting like I wasn't even expecting the video to go viral, but I was used to like 2 or 3 people every month, and now it was like 30 or 40. So yeah, it really blew my business. And you should post content too. By consistently talking about what you do and maybe even showing case studies what you did for this business, people will automatically trust you, see you as an authority, and really simple, people will see you. And that's the whole point of making content, because if you are very good at web design, and this is something that a lot of web designers are struggling with, they are very, very good at this skill, but they just are not showing themselves. It's the same as building a 5-star restaurant in the middle of a forest with Gordon Ramsay as the chef cook without having a road or a sign. Well, you maybe have the best food out there, but nobody knows you. So you have to create content and show people what you do and who you are. And another benefit of creating content is not only that people will find you and notice you, but it is that people automatically trust you before they even have a conversation with you, because they've already seen your face. They have already seen how you talk, what you did, and what your quality is. And once that happens, once you create content and start posting yourself, people will come to you instead of you chasing them. And the last thing I did, and there was something I was also struggling with, and I know a lot of web designers are scared to do this, but it is simply charging more. And let me tell you about my story. I told you about my viral content and I got a lot of leads. However, I said yes to literally everybody. So people negotiated the price. I said yes. People were asking websites for 300 or 500. People were asking websites for like 200. I said yes. I literally said yes to everybody. And that caused me to work very, very hard, because myself, I can literally work like 24 hours in one day. But I, I'm not saying I burnt out, but it was really, really difficult for me to organize everything and do everything for people. So I was in a lot of pain, and I decided, well, if I was asking twice this much, or if I was asking this price, would I also be struggling? And the answer was no. So I decided for the next client, I will be asking 1700. I don't know why it was 1700. I don't know why it wasn't like 2K. It was just a random number. However, on this sales call with this guy, I remember I struggled because I said 1700 because I was scared to tell the price. He not only immediately said yes, he was also asking me, is that it? And this proves my next point. And the next point is that your pricing makes people perceive your outcomes. For example, if I come to you, I say, hey, you can buy my car for $200. Well, You probably won't think it's the best car. You will probably think, what is wrong with this car? What did you do? Did you steal it? And it's the same with a business. It's the same with selling websites. If you're selling websites for only like 200 or 300, people will probably not think that it will be their best investment or that you can really get them great outcomes. I will wait for my coffee machine because I don't know if you heard. My microphone is here. Yeah, it was finished. So just raise your price, because when you charge more, people will perceive you as more professional. You will probably have more experience, and just raise your price. Just do it now. Like after this video, if you're struggling with pricing, if you're struggling with a lot of clients that you don't get fulfillment of, just raise your price. And all of these things I said in this video really changed my life, because right now I'm 22 years old. I just became 22. I'm living a full time out of this, and I can literally work with who and where I want. So to sum up this whole video, first, stop trying to become the best web designer, because you won't, and it will take you a lot of time. Secondly, think of something that can make you special. It could really be everything. For example, you're the fastest web designer, or you're a web designer that uses AI. Thirdly, spend more time on creating content and creating your personal brand. Show yourself. Literally do it right now after this video, because, well, if you don't do it, people will not know you. And lastly, just raise your price. It really doesn't have to be a strategic decision in your business. Just do it, because I didn't. It was really like, bam, I changed my price. I'm making consistent money out of it, and I want you to make money out of it too. So if you got a lot of value from this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more web design content and tips, and I'll see you in the next video.